Hello and welcome to Brutally Honest Talk Radio. This is Elmo the Conservative, and I am back with very interesting guests. Everyone, please welcome and dial in now to listen to David Deighton. And he is an interesting person, multifaceted. And on this episode, we're going to talk about a couple of things, starting off with his artwork. So he is an artist, and name of his type of art or the project is TriptychDialogue. So, David, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Elmo. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, thank you.
I- I'm in I'm in
let you.
Colombia right now, so I'm nice
Yeah,
and warm
yeah. Oh,
right
yeah.
now. Visiting.
That is
Yeah.
admirable and envious for most of America in January. Yeah. So,
Sorry, everyone.
hey,
Feels good.
we wish we could go south and be mobile to go to different climates like that nice warm climate. What's the temperature feel like there right now?
It's in the it's in the lower 80s, but it's humid.
Yeah, that was my
It
next
rained
question
quite
is
hard
is
last night.
is
Yeah,
if
it
it's
rains.
humid. Yeah.
It rains every night,
Oh wow.
so that's burning off right now. So the humidity is, I don't know what it's at. If people could see, I might be dripping.
I can't see. Some may
Okay.
with their with their high definition. How close are you to lake or any body of water?
I'm in inside of this big canyon that they consider here in Colombia the second largest after the Grand Canyon
Oh
in
wow.
Chicamocha. And there's a river down there I can see, but
Mm.
it also looks like the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. It's
Oh,
got
that's
rapids and everything.
yeah.
So it's
Just what
not
I
a
was
place
gonna
to go
say.
for a
Right.
dip. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's pretty far down.
Yeah.
So it's a bucket of water if I want to shower.
Yeah. Right.
To cool down. There's no
Yeah.
there's no exact water where I am. I got to go
Hmm.
down this river a few miles down the road.
Yeah,
Track.
yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
pretty close. I mean,
yeah.
just like in the U.S. near the East Coast, people that are 10 or 20 miles from the Potomac or the Atlantic Ocean is very humid, and that
Yeah.
clouds and that air can come in, and of course it gets very hot in the summer because of it. Yeah.
Feels
So,
like that year round,
oh
close to
yeah,
the equator. Yeah.
right, right. Yeah,
You
right, for
change the
sure.
seasons. You gotta go somewhere else. Like there's some mountains across the way. If I go to the top of the mountains, if I could, because there's no road up there, it'd be a totally different climate, much cooler and
Oh wow.
rainier up there with different plants, communities. I'm looking at it. I wish I could go up there, but it's like a 15-mile hike one way, and it's gonna rain at night,
Yeah.
so I can look at it from a distance.
And when you say hike, you mean hiking on foot or like going
Yeah, okay,
uphill?
hiking on foot, and there's no shelter up there.
Yeah.
So I'm told, yeah, and you need a machete to make your way.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jungle.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, something's up there. It's calling, but not enough. I might stay here.
Yeah, I need an incentive or some kind of a challenge or a reality show to reward me at the end of it for me to go through that. Lex Friedman, he was actually someone's guest in the Amazon. There's this guy who he lives off the grid, and he goes into these remote areas for weeks at a time, and he's come close to death many times, and wasn't able to eat as much as he should have. His weight dropped down to 150, 145, and
Mm.
no cell phone service. This guy, he has no problem with eating bugs if he has to. And, Lex Friedman was on there, making videos, trembling, going, "Okay, everybody, if you ever find this video, if you see me, just know,
I was happy today,
yeah,
or something, and hungry.
yes, I love you all, and I'm grateful, and tell mama blah blah blah, and like and I
Mm.
would have been scared too, no matter how confident my tour was. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the world and the earth, and most of the world, most of land is actually still undeveloped and uninhabited. And we see this when we go up in an airplane and we're looking out for a couple hours. And most of what we see, cities are just dots on a map. Where I live in Atlanta, big cities are just dots, and there's so much land that's undeveloped. People have gravitated in clusters to make community, but in between, a lot of wilderness is such a,
Mm.
and the world, is such a big place. So let's get into your artwork. The type of art is very unique, and I'm just going to let you describe that and tell a couple of stories connected to your art interacting with other people.
So let's see. So first of all, I do different types of art. So I do, your traditional paintings on canvas and on paper. They're abstract paintings, and I also do a different type of art. This is one I like to talk about. Is it's conceptual. It has a concept to it and an idea, and I explore the idea using different physical elements like art installations. So it looks like this. I can be after 6 years, it looks like this now. I'm in a national park like the Grand Canyon. I'm in a free speech area that's been designated to me by the Park Service. They're open to everyone. And I use that space to exercise my First Amendment right to art speech, which is covered by the First Amendment. And in that space, I will do something like I have a microphone and interview people, which I've done hundreds and hundreds of occasions. And I'll ask people because my subject is all around politics, but the taboo of politics and why we should talk about politics with strangers in order to de-escalate the tension in our country and to find ways to bridge the divide among divided aspects of our community, from left to right, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'll interview people, ask them three non-confrontational political questions, always the same three questions, and I'll listen to what they have to say, listen in, and let them say what they have to say. And that's pretty much one art performance right there. Every time I ask people to answer these questions, and they do. And then afterwards, I invite them to use the same questions with other people. And between you and I, why do I do this? I do it so that people can like bridge divisions that they might have with family members or people that they know they no longer speak to about politics, for example, and try these out,
Yeah.
listen in, and find commonalities so we can jumpstart that to have a stronger foundation, if you want.
And David,
So that's one thing I'll do at a national park.
I want to say that it's very important to be a good listener and to listen to someone expecting that they're going to tell you something that you didn't already know, and to just be really, really listening to what they say. I try not to assume anything, or if it looks like someone's going in a certain direction, I don't always do that. Things look a certain way, but I want to hear them out. So listening is just as important, communicating, as speaking and what you say and articulating your words, sometimes more so and more challenging. It's very good to do that. And you must be disciplined, because if it's the same questions, at least starting off, those three questions going to everyone, it can become kind of routine. But
Mhm.
so that's a great thing. And I wanted to ask you also, you said exercising your First Amendment right. Now, you're in Colombia and at this
Mhm.
canyon. So are you saying
Mhm.
First Amendment is an American, or did they
No,
have
no, in the
something
First
built into their
Amendment.
system?
So I'm only visiting Colombia right now. I'm just visiting here for another few weeks. I
Hmm.
live in the United States. I do this in American national parks in the U.S. is where I do most of my work.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is something I do in the U.S. national parks. But while I'm here in Colombia, I'm also producing different. I'm doing things with actually earth and
Mhm.
earthworks, and I'm making statues out of earthworks that I'm planting in different places
Yeah.
because they have quite a different story here of but they've had 50 years of armed conflict, and they've had also we're trying to find resolution and peace between the different elements here. But it's a strongly democratic country as well. That's also dealing with the second largest amount of landmines in the world on their
Wow.
territory, and a third of the people have been displaced. And then there's all the Venezuelans that came in too, right? And
Right, because they're
and
on
they
the
have
border.
they're on the border. Yeah, they're on board. A lot of people they come to work here, live here, and yeah, tons of, you meet a lot of Venezuelans here that have fled their country
And
years
so
ago.
I want to apologize because
Mm.
I just I don't know, for some reason somehow my mind like mixed that you were in Colombia, and so I assumed that you were doing that art there. You
Yeah, I'm
know.
doing still stuff on my project
Right.
here,
Right.
but I find that, for example, the divisions that I find in the US even more alarming than the ones that I'm starting to discover
Really.
here. Yeah, because it's on the rise, right? Our
Yeah.
social tensions and divides. We no longer want to speak to the people on the opposite political spectrum because we've demonized them and we think they're evil and they can't change them or whatever. And we think that also political conversations will always be a confrontation and an argument, so it's not worth
Mhm.
entering. So we avoid it. So I like to explore ways that we can talk about a subject in order to diffuse a situation that
Yeah.
seems to be arising.
Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question about Venezuela before we
Mm,
get into your art, because I really want to let
mm,
you run
mhm.
free in explaining that. And so, how long
Okay.
have you been visiting Colombia? How long have you been there?
Oh, that's just I've only visit. I've been here only for like 3 weeks, and I got another
Okay, so
three in front of me. I'm here
you
for a
know
month and a half.
about about the U.S. military going in Venezuela, taking Maduro, capturing
Oh
him,
yeah,
bringing
yeah. Even
right.
if I didn't listen to the news, that people would be asking me like, well, why? Okay, we got why they went in for Maduro, but why are they saying they're going to invade us or get rid of our democratically elected president? What's going on?
Oh,
People
Colombians
get a bit
are saying
scared.
that.
Yeah, yeah. They were asking me like, well, why? What's going on? What did we do?
As if you're
You
an
know?
ambassador or correspondent
Yeah.
and
Well, maybe
plugged
I'd
into the
understand because they
situation
sure
room.
didn't.
But here's a question: do you think that starting now or maybe in the next few months, a lot of those people that fled Venezuela coming into Colombia are going to go back now that Maduro is gone? And I'm just asking that because
Mm.
what they show us here in the U.S. on TV is people in Venezuela celebrating after he was captured, and also some that a lot of they have interviewed in the U.S., like in New York, that are from Venezuela. They're dancing and smiling about this. So,
They certainly were here.
oh,
They were
really?
certainly were here. Oh, people got. Oh, I spoke to this one guy. He had woken up all his friends that
Let's
morning
have a
to
party.
let him know what happened.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, shake him. You can't believe what happened. And then
Right.
speaking to a few people afterwards is, asked him, yeah, where, are you going to go back? Or he said, well, I'm calling my family members to see, how safe it is in
Right.
that part of the country
Right.
because it's not just removing the president, it's all the instability that could happen and that could arise at any moment with a power
Sure.
vacuum, or also what's their prospects upon return, right? They did
Yeah.
leave because not just a question of freedom, but of just economic hardships too. So they're all the
Yeah.
way through South America down to Chile and Argentina,
Yeah.
and they're everywhere. They fled for a better life because it
For
wasn't
sure.
just not getting hungry.
Yeah. There's a congruent thing that happens when there's fixed elections or any election where one candidate or the incumbent gets 100% of the vote. You know,
Something wrong there.
it's like it's like an anomaly in science that this would never
Mm,
naturally happen
yeah.
in the biggest democracies like the U.S.
In
and other
India.
countries, for example. It would never happen. So
Yeah.
it's always fishy, and everybody there has to know that there's no way that's legit. I would probably wait 3 months and then see how things are because it's after 3 months gonna at least be moving in some direction. And
Mm,
then also you see the trial with Maduro should be over. You see what's going on with the vice president that's in there now, and just you know people can take to the streets and act crazy but that's usually right after some kind of a revolution.
We will see. We will see. Yeah, and they will see too. They're not rushing home because they want to see. I mean, the few people I spoke to,
Yeah, no, it's very smart
they're
for
waiting to
them to
see
talk to
what's.
their friends and family that are still there and to get
Mm,
they trust them. It's better than going through the media.
right.
They know
That'd
that
be
what
safe,
they tell
right?
them is the deal, exactly what's going on.
That's an interesting point right there because that relates back to my triptych dialogue project, right?
Hmm.
Is that in order to have these conversations, right, with about politics and taboo subjects in the US, they're a lot more effective if we have them in person than if we
Yeah,
do them online because of the nature of how information is delivered online.
yeah,
Only things that we agree with in the sense to outrage us more and bring us more into our camp rather than knowing what a little bit of all the different points of view are, which we can get
yes,
when we have in-person conversations that
hmm,
aren't tainted as well with all the rage or outrage that comes with online trying to trigger us,
yeah,
because people don't try to trigger you. Not everyone tries to do that. They
yeah.
will say words that trigger you, but it's not their main
It's
purpose.
not
It's just the words
intentional.
that they use. It's not intentional. Whereas online, yes, yeah,
Now,
often it
would
is.
you want to say here what those consistent three questions are that you ask people, or is it something that you rather
Oh
kind of
no,
like to save for when you're in that face to face conversation, so that
well we're
people you
face to
meet in the
face.
future they won't kind of get their answer or response in advance?
I would love to, and I feel like we're face to face, although we're
Okay,
working through our devices. But
sure,
I can see you and I can hear you, and it's live like this.
yes,
So the first question I ask is, how would you describe the political system of the United States of America?
right, okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my answer for that would be capitalist system, a republic, democratic republic, and so that the way that people get in power federally or nationally with the purpose of the what's the name of the college that that
The Electoral
the
College.
electoral college, I'm sorry, so they
Mhm.
look at the votes being spread out, but so that it's not just a majority of a cluster of people that are on the east coast or the west coast kind of deciding who's the president for the whole country. Yeah, to try to narrow that down, just a system, free election system of the people by the people kind of thing, checks and balances, term limits. Yeah.
Right on. The second question is, describe your feelings or reactions to the current state of US politics.
The current state is dirty, underhanded. There's there's much lying that's going on by politicians and accusations and things that are done, tactics to try to smear someone or put them in a bad light, as opposed to someone just focusing on what they believe and going after that and pushing that and telling the truth also. People that really believe in the truth believe that the truth will prevail. And it's like a light that shines, and that you don't have to do much in addition to that. You don't have to leave anything out. You don't have to add much to it, but just and trying to and be honest about reality. This is just the things that different people say is not fair. I mean, in comparison to other countries, I don't know if they have the freedom and the attention and the press to say as much. If there's as many statements out there, but it just in the U.S., that's what I look at it as, is different parties, different sides, mostly two big parties, that there's a lot of dishonesty and mudslinging for the acquisition or the maintenance of power.
Right on. The last question is kind of a game where you finish the sentence, and I'll give you the sentence that politics in the United States, blank, and you finish it. Politics in the United States.
Politics in the United States is a game where there are different different rules for different sides, ranging from doing whatever you have to do to get someone's vote to having having a platform that you stand on, that your business model is, with many variations within one party. Yeah, it's got so many different parts within it. But yeah, just to try to narrow that down, the way that politics are is a combination of people that want to do the right thing, want to do a good thing, and then um, other people who they want to lead people by emotion. They
Mm.
want to trigger them. They want to say things even if it's not true, because for some, strong emotion is more powerful than truth, or truth is deferred. Maybe
Mm.
something will come out, or people will find out about something 6 months or a year later, but by that time they've already made their mind up. Yeah, good
Those are those
questions.
are those are the questions. They're each time we get deeper into it, right? And it allows us, and your answer today would be different than the answer tomorrow in the sense it'll be more refined with time, right?
Hmm.
And you get to, in that case, get to express and have somebody there with you when you're defining more your political identity, if you want. But you've also, the other person's like hearing some interesting stuff too, and they can find something that you have in common, right? But what I found is when you're okay, so you're getting triggered because there's things that you don't agree with from the other person that they said. Actually, not in your case. I wasn't triggered, but if I were, there would be something that I'd still be able to bridge with you, and it's usually not going to be a fact or opinion. You brought in the great ideas, the concepts. You talk about the great concept, but a lot of people that talk also about, I don't like this and I don't like these, and being precise, right?
Hmm.
And those are areas that we get in disagreement with, usually about facts and opinions, because we know them to be either wrong or not to fit with ours. However, an emotion that's felt, uh, like you spoke about truth and things like that, and how the importance of truth. Now that would be something that, I could agree with that and state that as being my connection to you, and that's something we can do with everyone, right? We can have our questions, listen in, find one thing we have in common, which is usually some form of emotion or how we feel about something, and share that. Because if things were to, if the tension gets stronger in the country, we're going to have to show our humanity to one another in person. And we
Yeah,
need practice. And unfortunately, we're doing the opposite these days. We're speaking less to one another about certain subjects, and we're spending more time on devices than we are doing things in person.
yeah,
So some of us don't even know how to talk really with other people anymore, or even how to initiate a
this is true.
conversation. We want to, but we don't know how, because we don't have the tools. This, just what we're doing right now, that's a tool for somebody else to say, you know what, I heard on this podcast this and this, and they have a story that they could take
Hmm.
somewhere else, and as an excuse to practice it themselves. You know what I do at the end? I just got to mention one thing at the end. It's kind of
Yeah.
fun. Is that after the three questions, I ask the hardest one, which is like a fourth outlier, and I ask to give me one word, and I'll ask you this one word that kind of encapsulates all your answers. So it's a tough one.
Of
One
the
word you
three
want to put
answers
out
that I
there.
that I gave,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One word you want to put out there.
yeah, I
Yeah,
guess I'd have to truth.
yeah. Truth, right? Uh, and so we refined it all through these questions, and we're helping each other out, and we come out with like one word that might not be the same tomorrow, but it's the one for right now. And and that word has a lot of power, not just because it's an important word, but also determines who you are right now and what's important to you. And that is part of the story we can share with others. And I mean, that's what I, after 6 years, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm seeing, right? And people are taking these words with them in their minds and thinking about it, right? And I'm also meeting people out of the blue that have said, "Oh, you're the guy that does the questions," or "I saw artwork." And so it's kind of networking itself. And I know just for the fact that when people have conversations with others, it'll come around too in some way, right? The more of us that
Yeah,
do it, the better it is. like what you're doing, you're bringing people together through conversation and with your listeners and everything, right? In a
Yeah.
sense, all these are bridging activities, or political, in my sense, political actions that we can all take. We go out
And
and
I
vote
will
every now
say,
and then, but this you can do at any time.
I will say, because I actually, if I had a choice, most of my guests would be people that disagree with me
Mm,
because I just feel like there's more to talk about than or more to try to understand. There's kind of a challenge of me explaining to them and them explaining to me so that something makes sense. But people that what I know about them or find out ahead of time, which is very different from what I believe. Surprisingly, when they've been on the show, it's been a civil conversation, and we've been able to. They usually do that. We both leave having a little more understanding about the other person, and I find that most of us generally want the same thing. We want the same thing. I think that people should not assume that if they vote for a certain party or a certain person, why they did. I hear the rhetorical questions about why would someone vote for Biden or whoever. Well, the best way to know is to ask them, because
hmm
different people vote for different reasons. But when you were talking, the two main things that I was thinking about the country that I've seen that are problems is we are very divided, and it's like by choice, with a focus on what our differences are. This can be what people believe, or their physical appearance, or race, or age difference, or whatever it is. There's too much of a focus on that. And then also there is a widespread problem of mental illness, and
mm,
why people believe what they believe, and the way that they think. Today there's more of calling this behavioral health than mental health, and that's because your behavior is a result or acting out how you think. So we're getting to see the way that people's minds work and operate when we see how they act out their lives. And just in talking, just in conversation, people would tell you what they believe. And so there's different degrees of that, where people are functional in life that have mental illness, meaning they can hold down a job, or they're able to navigate, go about their business from day to day without getting incarcerated, or
mm,
doing something that's going to take away their freedom. But this is in relation to politics or outside of politics. And so um, I think, as far as it goes, people, we need to understand this, and coming in contact with people and having dialogue with them. Some things that people say and believe are just outside of the circle of sanity, and so it's very hard or almost
mm,
impossible to say something.
mm,
Some people are very very irrational. There's a man who I work with, and he may see this one day, but I'm not going to say his name. But I'm just being honest and being real. So on the subject of COVID and vaccines, this is what is, because we it's a political leaning job. A
hmm
big part of it is,
Okay.
and I can't remember if he is more a centrist or a left leaning person, but on the subject of the pandemic, this person said that during the pandemic, or during 2021, everyone who was not vaccinated, that every time they left the house, they were murdering people. Now,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
that sounds like a
Wow.
very irrational thing to me, because
I'm staying indoors.
murder, or like I was described in the
Hey.
Ten Commandments with thou shalt not kill, it all has to do with your
Mm,
intentions. you don't you don't even know if someone is infected or not, so it's assumption that they are infected if they weren't vaccinated. And then it's
they're
like for
murderers.
somebody to be you're murdering someone with a virus is like
Oh,
I
you're murdering somebody with a virus. You're out. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah.
right
Now it's
right
everybody
and
know.
it's
You're sharing.
like
Yeah.
They're
I
saying
heard
the
that.
same
Yes, I've heard that.
thing.
I've heard that.
Yeah, right. I've heard that usually coming, I don't know what part of the country he lives in, but usually this comes from California, certain
Okay.
places more so. It's what saying that is like lining up with the saying the same thing is someone knows that they have this killer virus or virus that there's no cure for, and they go out every day and they're looking for people so that they could give them a hug and breathe in their face because there's an intention of trying to take them out.
Hmm.
So, just that's just one example where, and
They might feel
I
that way
don't
though.
think this.
They're like, oh, that
Say
person's
again?
sneezing in the theater. They might feel that way to maybe to somebody there. Oh, somebody's sneezing in the
Oh
theater
yeah.
down my neck. They're trying to kill
Oh
me in the
yeah.
theater.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
something like this. That's that.
Yeah. So
COVID
people
hasn't
people
helped in,
need
uh, in
to.
in us communicating with one another. COVID's divided us even more, hasn't it? I mean,
Oh.
we
Oh
were
yeah.
separated from
Yeah.
one another, and then it was the pro-vax, anti-vax, and all that we
Yeah.
took down and got deeper down into our camps.
COVID
Yeah,
was
those are
the number one thing that was being campaigned on in 2020. It was a number one.
divisive. It was divisive. But that's
Yeah.
another thing. That's
It's a
another reason for
mess.
us to go out there and talk to people because
Um.
we gotta clear up all that mess that's been left out for us. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta start talking to one another across community lines, racial divides, economic divides, wherever. But the
Hmm.
problem is, where does this happen? Now you're in Atlanta. You're also in a city that's quite spread out, but it ends up okay. They're going to be barbershops, coffee shops, malls, or whatever. There's some places where you can you can talk with others,
Hmm.
right? Like at the barbershop, and that would be one place. But all in all, in a car dominated culture, you don't have many opportunities to converse with the stranger unless you get a chance to take the bus. But then that might change, maybe the social economic aspects, or
Hmm.
you're inside this one group. How do you just go all over the place? Especially in the US, I find that difficult because there's so many physical divides. People are
Yeah.
either in subdivisions that are behind walls, or they're on the other side of the tracks historically, and so
Hmm.
they're in this area, and then you add in our modes of transportation, which create other divides that separate us from talking to people on the street. And then so we're all talking in the same church, for example. Well, how about you're Christian? How about Muslims? They're not in your church, so how do you
Hmm.
get to talk to them? And so it takes effort, and like you were saying before about being triggered is also an element of pain, right? It's not
Yeah.
just the effort in going out to do this,
Damage.
but it's also painful because you're the one asking the questions, and you got to take on the listening, right? It's easier just to leave it out. So yeah, just to bring out what you got to say. However, I think that as a civic action that we can all take is actually just listen to the other person and not have anything to say afterwards, just to give them a chance to talk about things we're not supposed to talk about. Like, for
Yeah.
example, with politics, I've had people cry afterwards because they had so much pinned up inside
Wow.
that they just came out and, like, on the second question. I was on a
Mhm.
podcast the other day, and podcaster cried. you know,
It's right at the beginning.
bless her.
Just yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
just like
you
it's this base. So we've got to like clear up this
yeah.
mess, right? And kind of clear up the air so we can, yeah.
Do you remember? I think his
Oh,
name is Matt Walsh. But when you said
okay.
that, it made me think of there was this man who made this documentary. It was about trans people, and because of him not understanding or knowing all the rules, if you will, of what comes
Hmm.
with that, and what something is, but he would go around the colleges again, this is being filmed and go to
Hmm.
universities and just meet with people and just ask questions, which you would think asking a question is not the same as making a declaration or a statement. I'm not saying you're right, you're wrong. I'm definitely not name calling. It's like I have an ideology or I make a claim, and then you ask me questions about that
Hmm.
because if I really believe something, I should know why I believe it. If I can't tell you why I believe it, then there's something else going on. I'm
Hmm.
just kind of repeating what other people are saying or picking up something that is thought of in a certain way or popular. So Matt Walsh, he was, I think the name of this is what is a woman, or how do you define a
Yeah, yeah,
woman?
yeah, yeah. I've
Right.
seen that. I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen
And
that.
so
Yeah.
he's like, this is on camera. He's asking like a dean, I don't remember the college, but he's asking questions about this and about the rules of how that system is set up and what is supposed to be believed, or what's going on. He's asking questions. And so
Mm-hmm.
the dean said, you're going to have to leave. You got to leave this campus right now. We're going to escort you out of here just for
Mm-hmm.
asking. I mean, come on. It's one thing to ask a rhetorical question or to try to be insulting, but that's not it. At the least, I'm talking to somebody and I really disagree or don't understand what they're saying, I'll repeat back to them what they said. Like, can we agree on what you just said when I just quoted you? Oh, okay. So I did hear you right. So this is what you said. Okay. And then we go from there.
Just to shut people out.
Yeah,
But
some
then
people are like, I see
when
your
I watched that, I was wondering, like, how much gets cut out of things. You know,
yeah.
for example, years back it was Michael Moore, right? He had his documentary going around, and of course you can
You said
take the
Michael
stuff
Moore?
that once, yeah, wasn't it Michael
Yeah.
Moore about years ago? They had
He's
Michael Moore,
definitely made a
yeah,
few.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what do you edit out, right? You're going to take the ones
Yeah.
that prove your point the most, the ones that so and that once again that's what I thought with this documentary as well. Is like, oh, what's out of this one, right? It's funny, it's
Mm.
entertaining. Well, it's not funny as much as it's entertaining. It's alarming, has all these things going on. But when we're in person, it's back to pain again. So there's a lot of
Right,
boring
right,
stuff,
right.
right? You're just having an interaction,
Mm.
and you're gonna which one are you gonna remember? The most outrageous one, or the lady that cried, or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So it's unedited, right? We don't get to pull
Yeah.
out what we want in life when we're really going out to meet the other, to see that they're more like us. Uh, yeah, I put kind of the documentaries often out there in kind of my social media feed, if you want, because what's the purpose? I always try to think, what's the purpose behind, what's the agenda behind each one of the documentaries? What is it aiming to say? What are the words being said, and what's omitted? Right. I guess my artwork deals a lot with what is not there, which is not present, and it's an interesting field to me, because in the
Yeah.
area that's not seen, it's on the periphery. That's where most of us are, unseen, in the periphery, with our daily mundane thoughts that most of them are not outrageous or meant to harm, just the way we think. We stick around with people that think and talk the same way. We want more richness and also understanding of the rest of the community. That it would be to go and ask truthfully in person and talk with others. And in that case, do what you were talking about, like doing the listening part, which is the hardest part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
but
does that take us? Where does it take us in the end?
yeah, we're a nation and a world of individuals. Behavior is contagious. So even though we are all made differently, and people naturally think uniquely. What's inside of us and what we think and the way that our minds work. At the same time, most people are followers, and they absorb and take the behavior that's put on them, transfer it to others, or
Mhm.
the belief of one or the majority, and assimilate into that. And individualism is a great thing, is very important. But I would like you to talk more, about
Mhm.
your art, and we could just talk
I
about
just but
the
just like
triptych.
about it, yeah, the individualism, right? I see that
Hmm.
there can't be individualism without community, right? We can't be
Yeah,
individuals isolated from all others, like in just a box. We wouldn't be able to
yeah,
function,
yeah,
because
yeah,
we wouldn't have any roads, electricity, food to eat on our table. We wouldn't be able to
yeah,
communicate. And what would be the purpose really of it's in that search of community, not to conform. That I don't find myself much on the front of conforming, But there is this. It brings us to like an art installation that I'll share. It's one was about echo chambers, our point of view, how we see the world, right? And so I was like, oh, how do we explore that with the public, with a bunch of strangers that are going to come and see this in the most unlikely of places, in a national park, not in a museum or in a gallery? So what I did is I thought, okay, the last thing, you're not in a museum. Why don't I bring like a museum piece? So I brought a stand, a black stand, and then the top at eye level, you have chest level, so the kids can see. There'd be a plexiglass container, right, the case, and then I put a
Yeah.
statue inside of it to protect the statue, like you do in a museum, right? And people would come over and look at the statue and go, "What's this doing here?" Of course, right? It's not supposed to be there. And
Mm.
I would, I'd pro offer that the statue is a reflection of me, of you, of somebody, and that just of a person, but it doesn't really matter. What I'm interested in is the glass case that's around it. And they're like, what? What do you mean the glass case? It's like, well, imagine you're the person inside. That glass case to me represents like your worldview, your echo chamber, how you see the world. It's often much smaller than you think it is. You're inside and you're looking out and you think it's so expansive, but really it's
Yes,
quite
sir.
limited. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then in my hand, I'll usually have like a spice jar, one of these clear glass spice jars. I
Yeah.
have a little statue inside of there and say, look at this guy, right? This guy has even a smaller echo chamber. I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then I ask, okay, so my preoccupation is how does this person that I'm holding in my hand in this small echo chamber enter the other one, or should
Yeah.
they? And how that happens, going into somebody else's point of view, how is that done? And I leave it at that. And people are often bewildered by the question itself, right? Like,
Yeah.
why would I want to do that? Should I do it? I guess we should. It would be good. Is it done through communication? Yeah, I would argue yes. That's one of our best tools is communicating and exploring it and exploring the words that they use, which might not be the words that we use because they have
Right.
different meanings. And in that area, it's also as the person's really let you into their home, right? In a
Yeah.
sense, when you enter somebody else's echo chamber. When you use the questions, those three political questions on a taboo subject, you are very much in that person's echo chamber. You're in there, you're having, if the conversation moves on, that person's really opened up and said a lot. And you could see it from their nonverbal communication, the way that they're looking at things, they're
Yeah.
concentrating, and for some reason they're talking to you, right? They're expressing this to you. So it's beyond like, how's the weather now, or how you doing,
Yeah.
right? Immediately getting to something deeper. And so the exploration of echo chambers is very much important to me as well, because it offers like, here's some of the mechanisms that we can use to just talk to other people. I mean, I just see so many walls all the time, right? And I like to tear down walls, frankly. And they're the barriers that we have among one another, among our communities. I like to tear down those
Right.
too. I think that's what art does. And that's what I do.
And and
Or I think I do.
interesting.
I'm still
Yeah,
in my bubble.
you're good. You're an open-minded free thinker, and I'm sure you have conversed with a wide range of people. There seems to be a thinking that, well, it is a thinking. It is true that most of the people that I know, they can't be friends with someone that doesn't vote the way that they vote or
Mm.
believe what they believe. I have friends. I'm Christian, but I have friends that are atheists, agnostic, Muslim, or I really don't care about that. Like, there are people, there are people who vote a certain way that also are criminal and get locked up in prison. So you
Mhm.
don't want to just look at their political affiliation as whether or not you want to let them into your personal circle and be friends with them,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And because you vote for someone, you don't have to co-sign on everything they say or do. That's indoctrination. I don't have to oppose everything of someone I didn't vote for, and I don't have to die on every hill for someone that I did. It's just it's not being honest. As a matter of fact, there's no one that I've ever met, unless I don't know them well or haven't talked to them very much, that there's not at least one or two things that they said that I disagree with, and that's fine. So there's a thinking of that. I guess it's being tribal. You
Hmm.
have to be on this team, and they're
More or
not
less.
actually. Someone shouldn't call themselves a Republican or Democrat or Libertarian unless they have paychecks that are signed by the party and they're employed as a politician or a public servant. So
Mm.
you're not actually a part of that. You may support them. I'm a conservative. This
Hmm.
kind of explains how I think and how I live. But I'm not part of a party, and I never call myself that. But
Mm.
I know what I believe because of it. If I say that I am a member of a certain party or I'm voting for someone because of their party, that's a dangerous thing, because then what that will do is whatever they bring, whatever they say, I'm just going to look at that, look at the look at or the symbol, and then vote based on. I'm actually, it's like a form of worship. Like I'm putting my faith in that
Hmm. Hmm.
party or in that
Hmm.
symbol, and that's a dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous
Agreed.
thing.
Agreed. I see that too. I see, if I were at a dinner table and everybody said that they were liberal, I kind of feel like I'd want to say I'm conservative, right?
Mm,
Because it just and in a sense I am, because this is weird, right? I'm French and American. In America, I'm a liberal, but for the same values that I have, I'm a conservative in France, because the political spectrum is so far to the right in the US that it puts me center left. And then when I'm in France, I'm with Macron, the current French president. I'm center
mm,
right and despised for being so far to the right
yeah,
by my friends. But I'm still the same person with the same ideas and values. But we disregard people just from the branding, right? I mean, it's we don't disregard other people because one person likes Pepsi and the other one likes
right.
Coke. But for some reason, we'll do it because the repercussions are so big on which party we've chosen, because
Mm,
they've made it out. There are big differences between the two parties for sure.
mm,
But the we are the people, and we're the basis of all that. That foundation, it can't crack. If it cracks,
yeah,
it's not good for anyone.
it's
And that's
true.
the one I'm concerned of, because I feel like I don't have the political power beyond the vote, or beyond joining a party and being part of all these commissions and talks and all this stuff. But it's definitely not me. I don't have the time either. We got
Yeah,
all livings to make. We can't get involved in, but we got our churches, we got our community groups. That's all cool, but we've got to branch out to other groups, and I'm sure many of the listeners already do. Could we do more? And should we do more in order to be sure that the foundation itself, right? This
mm,
painting out the idea of this foundation that we're all rest upon, is consolidated for those that don't have access to the to our platform, to the security that we have, uh, and if there are any cracks, to bridge them, uh, and not to fill them up with common ideals or whatever, but
yeah,
just to show our humanity, because it's more like it's a foundation, more of a web, isn't it? More than
mm,
a solid block, isn't it? It's more of a web of things with the interconnections. But when you shake the web all the way at the end, somebody feels it, right?
yeah,
When the
yeah.
spider, that's it, it goes all the way to the furthest ends of it. So yeah, maybe I'll think of it more as a web now rather than this foundation of a block. Uh, but
It
yeah,
is. It is. I
I don't
mean,
want it to fall apart.
a
The
couple
fabric of
things.
America.
Some things that are in common with that is a web is like the same diagram of how a network works, and we're all
Mm.
connected to each other. And there's a chain reaction, or there's a result to everything that is done, either on a small level in a small network like a family, or on a large network. But I think a good thing, a good question
Okay.
to ask people who have very polar opposite beliefs, because many people have good ideas where they jump right to the result. I want to see things set up like this. So a good thing to ask them is, all right, explain to me how, at what cost, what's going to be the cost of getting to where you want things to be. I know we die and wake up in heaven, but on the
Mhm.
other side we're in utopia. But what has to be, what do we have to
Done
burrow
to get
through
there.
to get to, right? And who is it going to affect? So there are many people, they have lofty ideas, or they have a communal way of thinking. They're genuinely good people. They want everyone to be taken care of. Okay,
Hmm.
so
How do you get there?
first of all, there's pretty much nothing new under the sun. Is what you're saying ever been tried somewhere else? And we know that human nature doesn't change. Doesn't matter if you bounce to Australia, Greenland, China, whatever. It's pretty much the same as human nature was 1,000 years ago. So
Hmm.
we're products of our environment. What people are capable of is kind of determined by what they grew up in. You know,
Hmm.
you look at like
Their
Genghis
environment.
Khan, which was only 1,000 years ago or less, what
Hmm.
him and his army were capable of doing to people. And
Mm.
not just a thought, but I mean really putting their hands on and applying to violence or takeover. So
What's that look like?
right, many people are ignorant of history, or they haven't thought out how they want to get to where they want to get. And there are leaders who are saying we need to have this, or this will be good and this will be great, but they're not explaining how we would get there. So I'm naturally a
Not with
curious.
our attention spans.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's some commercials to put in there too. Come on. We don't
It's
have
so
time for this.
it's so bad. Like it's one thing to have a lot of screen time and a lot of internet time. It's another thing with it's like feeding and promoting the short attention span, where someone is used to watching things that last 10 or 15
Or,
seconds.
oh, that'd be a lot.
They're used to
I was
that.
thinking three.
and then
Uh,
and then going to, like, I don't know how you can remember if it's something that's really
mm,
worth. I
well,
mean, so all you can get in
that's
three
a good subject.
seconds all you can get in 3 seconds is entertainment. You can't
Yeah.
even learn anything. you know
Hmm. Hmm.
there's got to be something, some kind of list. I want to, if there's something I'm going to devote time to, it should be something that I remember. I have to remember it. I can't do that if I just cut it off and go right to something else. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
such
it's
a
just
bad thing.
entertainment. But that's the thing. I think everything we're talking about here, it all revolves around the pain. I mean, it's painful.
Hmm.
It's a pain in the butt to have to learn to look at facts,
Yeah.
to and it's so much easier just to doom scroll down on whatever the algorithm is showing you. But it's that's the thing. We're spending more time with it than we are with other humans. So, and it's
Right.
just taken us deeper and deeper into our own holes, exactly where it wants us to be. And if we have any, wow, we have this freedom, right? Do we want to
Hmm.
use it or do we want to give it away? I think we're pretty much giving it away because, freedom, it demands a lot of pain and action and you got to work at it all the time. But you grow like a better person and you meet people and you meet you get out of the doldrums. You're talking about mental behavioral health earlier. That also is a place where by these multitude of small actions and interactions, it's taken me out of the doldrums for sure, and also brought me to places where I'm able to speak to people rather than just project anger and hate
Yeah.
because based on political beliefs. I mean, this project I've done the last 6 years has changed me tremendously. Like I'm on podcasts, I'd never done that before, even talk in public. It's brought me out of my isolation in order to speak to others and to marvel at the diversity of thought that's out there and of people.
Which is the
And
most important type
I
of
love it.
diversity. The most important type, not how we look or identity politics. That
The
that's
individual.
that's going back. That's reversing things from where we're trying
Mhm.
to get away from. But we
Mhm.
need we need different ideas. We need innovation. That's what makes the best technology and the best products is ideas. These creators and scientists at Tesla or Microsoft, they would never get together and say, "There's only one kind of thing or feature that we're looking to invent." No, let's do as much as possible. And then we'll measure what the demand is or how it adds value to someone's life because of convenience or what they're able to do. I mean, that's kind of a thing with corporations, like ideas that different people come into, like becomes the property of the corporation. Like you're working for them and they have this product and you contributed an idea that makes it better. So when it goes into that Ford or Chrysler, whatever, they're not going to give you credit or put your, you're not going to be able to go over the interior of the panel and see your name on it. It's
Hmm.
kind of just for the good of the company or for the
Worked it
product.
together. Yeah, it's the community effort that built that thing. They built it together. I often think on that metaphor though is that it's and maybe my that's where my politics come through is that what's the motivation behind the innovations? Are they for the betterment of society or for others? Maybe that's incidental and in the background. I think it's mostly to make a buck, and
Hmm.
that's I always see it that way. You're there to what's going to make us money. The competition's there. I got to do it before they do. If I don't do it, they're going to do it, regardless of how harmful the product
Oh yeah.
might be in the long run. I'm thinking in the case of like social media, for example, and it's unregulated aspect of it, access to for kids and all this stuff. My politics are coming through now. I
When you
see
said
government
that,
regulation as a good thing, but we got to be sure we're involved in politics, not just a free like, hey, here's a dictator that's going to regulate. I'm not too big on that.
but when you said what the danger was in a product or coming out with something, the first thing I thought of was R.J. Reynolds, with the
Oh, the
cigarettes.
cigarettes. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
because they knew how harmful it was. I mean, think about it. Like the point we got to the point, it got to the place where we said we'll just put a warning on there that pregnant women shouldn't smoke, and that the surgeon general has declared that smoking is harmful for your health. So with that
We
established,
got
here enjoy your Benson and Hedges or your Marlboros. It's like, what
we're
are
going to
you?
keep on doing it. Don't look at it. Don't look at the
Yeah,
warning.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, don't
many,
use this addictive product that we got out there.
yeah, addictive and just
Yeah.
dries your skin and sucks the life out of people and shortens their lifespan,
Yeah. Mhm.
for money.
And the harm it has for families and death and all that.
I'm glad to see that number really really drop down because it used to
Mm,
be such a popular widespread thing.
right.
Most movies that you go back and watch from the 60s and 70s,
Everybody's smoking.
everybody's smoking, or they have bars in their house. They're pouring shots of bourbon. Like it's so
It's like milk.
they just worked that in. That's like part of the background. It wasn't even in the script. It was like this is what people do. Like they weren't even aware of
Right.
it. Like so
That's right.
much of it, so much of it. But
I just
people,
I, I just remember in airplanes when I was a kid,
oh yeah,
going back and forth between the U.S. and France. There was like they didn't have a smoking section until I don't know how old I was, but when they finally did have a smoking section, it was just right behind me. I'd be in the non-smoking aisle,
there's
just
no
puffing
there's no
smoke.
wall or door. We got this
Yeah, it was
section
right
just
there.
like in restaurants, as
Yeah,
if
it
as
was
if
right there.
smoke can't travel like a mini mushroom cloud and come 25 feet over to, yeah,
I
and
really needed the barf bags. Those
oh
those
yeah,
the vomit bags. I really needed them as a kid because
oh
some guy
wow,
had a
yeah,
cigar or something. That was it.
yeah,
uh, and the cart
secondhand
had
smoke,
unlimited booze. Yeah,
secondhand smoke.
different times, but yeah, addictive products at the reach of all. Should they be reasonably regulated? And I don't think we can even get to that. Those are just almost fantasy talks
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that if the country disintegrates because half of the country is a demon that we cannot speak to. That we've got a
Mm-hmm.
serious problem. Historical times of ones of armed conflict. Just say that's, but there's several steps before that, and one of them is dialogue and exchange, trust in
Yes.
others, and truth seekers uh, that speak to the other, bridging. Yeah, and it all involves once again the pain of hearing things you don't want to hear, of taking time to do such a thing, but the rewards are great, because you
Yes.
meet new people, you grow, you transform, and just feels good. Especially the more diverse, the better,
Yeah.
right? If it's like you said earlier,
Yes.
if you just have
Yes.
people all thinking the same, it just becomes boring, and then you might as well just scroll down on your
Yeah.
feed.
Yeah. It's not healthy either. Part of our purpose here is to help each other and to offer things and ideas that are not in our own mind, to exchange
Mm,
ideas, and then you got a buffet set up to pull from, which hopefully is it's mostly healthy stuff instead of non-healthy.
I
So,
like that. I like that. I do tell people, like, we can't always eat at the cake. Can't always have the
right.
cake because it's not gonna be healthy. We got to eat all that other stuff we don't really want to eat, but we know it's better for us. And that's what talking to others is about. Talking to the opposition. It's eating at that side of the buffet, and then you can go have your cake
And then
with
I
ice
would
cream and
I would
whipping
like
cream if you want.
people to be more disciplined in saying
Mm,
no to self-indulgence, and there can be no
mm,
freedom without self-discipline. So America is so free that people can really just overdo it. Things are so accessible. So
mm.
I'm saying it's because I care about people. I want them to make the decision in their personal lives, put time limits up or calorie limits on food or whatever it is, so that it's just we're not overdoing it, and we can focus on things that are healthy and focus on our purpose. David, I want to give you an opportunity to say how people can follow you, if there's multiple ways to put that out. And I believe more so now than when we started. I said at the beginning that you're an interesting person. I really like what you've had to say, and an open minded, widespread person,
Oh,
widespread
thank
in,
you.
in your thinking. You
I
you are
appreciate it.
you you
It's
are a
good to be
truth
here.
seeker. You are a truth seeker, and one of the ways of seeking truth is by traveling,
Mm, mm.
and going to different places, and then you can compare notes and figure things out. Take the good stuff with you, leave the bad stuff behind, and it's just a healthy thing. But yeah, go ahead. Is there I
Oh yeah.
don't want to say if it's a website or just it may be on a social media, but let people know where they can follow you.
Well, there's only one place right now they can follow me. It's on YouTube. I've have a diary of sorts where I post videos of different art installations and what I'm doing, and that's you have to do a search for Triptych Dialogue, and that's written TRIP, like a trip, travel trip.
Hmm.
Uh, Tick, TYCH, and then dialogue, DIALOGUE. So the word has a lot of meaning for me because it's part of an that's the beginning of my art project. It certainly doesn't make any sense of anybody remembering how it's written, but I
That's
invite
okay.
you
It's a
you
very
guys to go
unique
over there. But
name.
yeah, it's unique, and it's definitely on the weird side for some. But the point is what we did right now, which I consider also a work of art that we all participated in with the listeners through our thought process and imagination, and looking into maybe possibilities of how we want to explore the subjects we reach today and find ways to apply them through the pain, that if there is any, to start the conversations today and make a political act that we can do at any moment when the opportunity arises, and that could be several times a week. So that's my
Okay.
invitation, that you can find what we did today in yourself.
All right, and then let me ask if you ever schedule or plan, or let people know in advance when you're going to go to a certain place out in public and have these dialogues, or does it just always happen kind of naturally and organically?
Yeah, it's natural and organic. I've never posted in advance when these things were happening
Mhm.
to maintain the random aspect of the encounter.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, so
So I never advertise any of it.
at least people can check your YouTube channel to see, several different occasions where you were engaged in dialogue
And
with
they can
people.
comment, they can communicate with me, not a problem, love it. Also, I have other projects in there that they'll see, including one with a book that I repurpose a book that's been thrown away and recycled, and I stamp the 3 non-confrontational questions that you answered today.
Hmm.
They're inside of there. They can contact me. I'll send them the book for free.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
it's like a political
That's great.
motivator to use those questions yourselves.
That is great. Okay, thank you very much, David. I definitely want to have you back on the show again in the future.
That'd be a pleasure. That'd be a pleasure. We got a
Everyone
lot
that
more to explore.
Yeah, there is, and I know from everybody I spoke with David, on the phone before this episode, and like I said, multifaceted. It's going to take many episodes for us to get into the different
Mm,
things that are interesting about him. So,
mm.
um,
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for their time, especially the full episode listeners of this that tuned in and are supporting Brutally Honest Talk Radio. You can follow us. We have a group on Facebook. We are on TikTok, of course. You can catch the show on YouTube and Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon. Then on Twitter and Facebook, you can join our group and follow posts and comment on the video. And thanks again, David. And I'll catch you all on the next episode. God bless. Take care.